Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. So, in the last World of Warships video, where I was dripping like a septic arsehole that I just didn't recognise half of the ships in the battle anymore, this week we're featuring a replay from one of those ships that I didn't recognise in the battle anymore. This is the Japanese Tier 10, I'm going to say battleship, more on that in a second, the Aki. It's just that looking at the icon of the ship there in the team list, it's a hybrid, isn't it? That back end of the ship looks suspiciously flight deckish. Yep, it's a hybrid. And Flump here is divisioned up with another Aki and a Republique. And since there's already an actual aircraft carrier in play on both teams, and the enemy team do not have any hybrids, that means the enemy team are going to have the extreme pleasure, your definition of pleasure may vary, of playing against not one, not two, but 3 aircraft carriers. Oh, okay, it's not quite as straightforward as that. I mean, it's easy to just look at the team list and see the addition of 2 hybrids and say, oh great, one team's playing with 3 aircraft carriers, but it's not quite like that. As you can clearly see, if you have a look at the consumables at the bottom of Flump's screen, his attack squadron is in fact a consumable, and unlike an actual aircraft carrier that can start launching aircraft right at the start of the battle, the Aki can't do that. Yes, the Republic is a very, very good looking and very, very effective actual battleship. I think it's something like a 3-minute cooldown. 2 minutes 50 seconds, so almost 3 minutes before you can actually start using the dive bomber squadrons that the Aki comes equipped with. And then a further 2 minutes and 50 seconds before you can reuse them after using them. So it's not like you can spam aircraft the way an actual aircraft carrier can. But trust me, these aircraft are going to be very, very useful. A hybrid battleship or a hybrid cruiser, or yeah, there is at least one hybrid destroyer in the game. Just giving these things aircraft that they can use, cooldown or not, is such a massive force multiplier. Well, you'll see. Anyway, so what about the rest of the ship? Well, I've deliberately not looked up the stats on this thing. I'm coming in here cold. The only thing I know about the Aki is what I've read in comments of previous videos. So it's a Yamato, you can tell that by looking at it, although the rear turret has been removed in order to give it a flight deck. Aside from that, the only other things that I really know about it, and again this is just based on people's comments in previous videos, is that it's more accurate than the actual Yamato, which is already an extremely accurate battleship. I mean, if you'd just taken a Yamato, removed a turret, given it a flight deck with a consumable cooldown use aircraft dive bomber squadron and left it with the remaining 6 Yamato guns, that would have still been fine. But they've instead buffed the guns as well, which is a little crazy. And what was the reload that I was seeing on those 18.1 inch guns? Was that 24 seconds on 18.1 inch? That's not the base reload, surely. That's with modifiers, it has to be. But still, that's got to be, unmodified, a sub 30 second reload. Here come the aircraft. Okay, so rocket assisted takeoff. I'm not expecting them to be very quick. They've got floats on them, so that's going to be massive amounts of drag. What's that? The M6A2 Siren. Wait, that's a submarine launched aircraft. The I-400 class submarines, that was the aircraft they were supposed to carry. Well, as long as you're making shit up. I mean, whatever. Fine. He's got an actual Yamato spotted, and the Yamato does have terrible AA. Japanese 25mm short-range AA is pretty bad. Let's see what these bombs are capable of doing. No damage? No, some damage. But a fire. Oh, that's going to be the enemy Jinan. It was just spotted creeping into the cap circle. Yeah, those are deep water torpedoes. It doesn't look like he... I mean, it's not a terrible decision when you've got a target-rich environment like this. It didn't look like he was aiming the torpedoes at anybody in particular. He just saw a huge clump of targets, and so he just spread the torpedoes out. We got at least one hit. Stalingrad over there took one, but I think everybody else got away with it. Flump himself here in the Yaki was actually out of range. So that's got to be kind of disappointing for the enemy Jinan, given the sheer number of targets that he was launching those torpedoes at. Oh, unfortunately, the chat. When it pops back up, if you've been paying attention, I'll just give you a quick recap. The friendly Salem on the other side of the map, over by the cap circle at Charlie, which the team have actually managed to take. Flump's team are the only team that actually have a cap circle at the moment. He is getting rage baited hard by the enemy team. And he's falling for it. And it's actually kind of funny. I will not elaborate on it any further. But if you're watching on a device with a sufficient resolution to be able to read the chat, it's kind of funny. Right. Flump knows there's a Jinan behind that island. I mean, the smoke screen's a bit of a giveaway. He launches the depth charge planes in an effort to see some anti-aircraft tracer. Give him a better idea of where the Jinan is, but it gets shot down so fast it doesn't really work. But then, well, he sees the Jinan itself. And, yeah. But you can see what he was doing there, even if it didn't actually work. But then it, well, ended up not really needing to. So there's his first kill. His team are down a kill. They've lost a destroyer and a cruiser to the enemy team's one cruiser. And the enemy team are now also flipping that cap. So did the Jinan get any? It did get torpedoes away. Oh, that's unfortunate. Of course, the problem with deep water torpedoes is they tend to be a bit stealthier, so you get less warning. Unless, you know, you've got something like Hydro, but the Aki doesn't. Got to admit, this is a nicely timed and lined up dive bomber consumable attack. That's looking pretty good. Yep, 1500 damage and a double fire. That's going to leave a mark. And Flump is now flipping the cap circle at Alpha in a hybrid battleship. Well, I mean, somebody has to. The team have already lost their one and only destroyer. Oh, there's that rage baiting going on in chat that I was talking about. I'm just going to repeat one of the lines from the enemy Yodo. Rage baiting still working in 2026 is crazy. And he's right, it is. Oh, this is going to be a kill. It wasn't a kill. All right, never mind. Oh, the Salem's been sunk. In fact, things are going really, really badly over there on the far eastern flank. They've just lost their carrier as well. They've lost everybody over there on the far eastern end of the map. But it looks like, well, more or less exactly the same situation is occurring over here, because the enemy team are about to lose everybody that they had over here on the far western end of the map. So what we have is a situation where the enemy team are sweeping down to the south on the eastern end of the map, and Flump's team are doing the exact opposite thing over here on the western end of the map. Nobody controls that central cap at Bravo, and the team are just kind of rotating around each other. Neither of them really in a definitive winning position, although the enemy team do have a fairly substantial kill advantage. But coming around a corner and seeing a target like that in a ship with even more accurate versions of the Yamato's guns. Yeah, kill number 3 for Flump, which has gone some way towards redressing the balance. In fact, the team scores are basically even, with both teams now holding one cap circle. And, yep, same number of kills. This was actually, as you're going to see, and as you've seen up until now, a fairly close battle. This is the kind of battle that was never going to make it into an episode of A Game of Thrones because, I mean, nobody, at least as far as I could tell, obviously there's a lot going on off camera that I wasn't privy to, but as based on what you actually see, nobody really does anything particularly stupid. I mean, there were a couple of oops moments, some unfortunate circumstances, like coming around the corner just in time to catch the enemy Yamato over there. I mean, it wasn't really the enemy Yamato's fault, but there's no real pants-on-head stupid moments. Instead, what you've got is some great teamwork and clever use of your available resources. Now, whether or not it's fair that one team has an overabundance of a certain type of resource, like these consumable airstrikes that can not only spot targets, see that would otherwise be unspottable. He wasn't using the airstrike to specifically damage the Hawaii. He was using it to spot the Hawaii for his 18-inch guns. The fact that it did damage is just a bonus. Whether or not one team having that available on not one but two ships that aren't even aircraft carriers, whether that's fair, that's an argument for a different matter. Spoiler, it's not fair. But Flump's team have it, and they're using it wisely. And to be completely fair, Flump's team did have the massive disadvantage of having an aircraft carrier that just sat there on the eastern flank as that huge enemy red juggernaut sped south and just didn't even attempt to save himself. And the enemy team do have an actual carrier who is spotting for the enemy team continuously and not on a 2-minute and 50-second cooldown. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, hybrids are still bullshit. But if you've got them, use them wisely. Still a minute to go on his aircraft cooldown. Now, note the friendly Jinan. See, this one's all about the teamwork. You've got this consumable, and it is on a cooldown, so you need to maximise its use, particularly when you are being comprehensively outspotted by the enemy team, because they have not only a working actual aircraft carrier, but they also have the only destroyer left in the battle. So this aircraft consumable, I mean, sure, it will let you hit targets that are behind cover that you wouldn't be able to shoot through or over. But under these circumstances, I would argue that it's far, far more valuable spotting targets for ships that are in better positions than you to use that spotting, rather than just using it to score an extra 8,000 to 12,000 damage and maybe set a fire or two. Note the Jinan, who is very, very well positioned near the centre of the map, and has a smoke screen but obviously can't spot targets for itself while it's smoked up. Asking for spotting. Flump empties the gun barrels of the armour piercing that was loaded and approves the Jinan's request for spotting. His division mate and the other Aki down to the south has just gone down. He was basically tanking that entire enemy onslaught sweeping around from the northeast. And took at least one of them with him, but he's now gone down. Meanwhile, here's that spotting he requested. Note the instant response to the enemy destroyer being spotted from the rest of the team. Not just the Jinan. It is the Jinan, however, who gets the kill. And we're not done. He's now also spotted the Utrecht. Ooh, cruiser spotted in open water. That's going to sting. Yep, there he goes, taken down by the Republic. And we're still not done. Remember, this aircraft squadron, it might be on a 2-minute 50-second cooldown, but you can keep using it until it gets shot down or you recall it. It's not like it's ever going to run out of fuel. And right now, spotting is what the team needs. There's the Hawaii. There's the Schlieffen. He's about to... Yeah, he's now within long-range AA5 from the Schlieffen. There's the Grosser Curve first. It looks like he's going to go for the Schlieffen. And then, of course, his 18-inch guns will have reloaded. Unfortunately, they weren't quite pointing in the right direction. Too slow to catch the Vermont. Get some shots out. Nope, island's in the way. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, hang on, what's the Vermont up to? Oh, Vermont, really? You think that's a good idea, do you? I guarantee you it isn't. I mean, he's never going to kill the... I mean, 6 shots, he'd have to get a lot of citadels. He's never going to one-shot the Vermont with 55,000, but 34,000 damage comes pretty damn close. Here's the thing. The Vermont is about as fast and agile as a shipping container. Can he get back into cover? He cannot get back into cover before these guns reload. Oh, this is going to hurt. This might, in fact, even be a kill. Let's face it, it probably is going to be a kill. It wasn't a kill. Me and my big mouth. Oh well, never mind. The thing is, though, you see the value of the airstrike when used correctly. So he did 7,000 damage to the Schlieffen with it. Big deal. The spotting from the airstrike got the Schlieffen torpedoed and sunk by the Jinan and led to the deaths of the Cassard and the Utrecht. 3 enemy ships taken care of in a single airstrike. And 11,000 damage and a kill on the Hawaii as well, which, you know, isn't bad. And oh look, the airstrike's available again. There's a Vermont trying to hide behind that island, isn't there? And I'm pretty sure nobody else actually, not even the Jinan, has lines of fire on it. So I think the airstrike is the only thing that's actually in a position to hurt that Vermont. There he is. Now the angle isn't great, and the Vermont, well, let's face it, the AA isn't going to matter, is it? At all. And there's some damage and a fire. And the fire is continuing to tick. It's just pushed him over 200,000 damage. So the Vermont is on low health and is burning. This might actually be a kill. Although if he has a heal left, and his damage control must be on cooldown, otherwise he'd be using it, then he will be using the heal now. And judging by the fact that he is still taking damage and hasn't sunk yet, he's probably using the heal. But now we get an example of some great teamwork from the enemy team. You've got the enemy Nakhimov coming in with his torpedo bombers. And the torpedo bombers on this thing are nasty. Have a look at the drop pattern. But the Vermont, because the Nakhimov is obviously spotting Flump here for him, he's about to take advantage of this manoeuvre to avoid the torpedoes. Yeah, there it is. And yeah, that hurt. My turn. Now, to be completely fair to everybody involved, that should have been a kill on the Vermont. But then again, those shots from the Vermont should have been a kill on Flump, so I guess we'll call it even. And now, of course, everybody else, since the Vermont is spotted and is on low health, is getting in on the act. However, I don't even know what the reload is like now, but it's substantially shorter than the Vermont's. And that is, in fact, kill number 5 in the Kraken Unleashed, which leaves just 2 enemies remaining against the 4 of them. And the Grosser Kurfürst over there, he's AFK. So it's basically 1 against 4. The thing is, the 1 on the enemy team, and we're not counting the Grosser Kurfürst because he is AFK, the 1 on the enemy team is a Nakhimov. Here it comes with the skip bombers. Now, and this is going to hurt. Yeah, that hurt a lot. I have to admit, I do feel kind of conflicted here. Because the Nakhimov is only doing what he needs to do in order to win, because that's his job. And I have spent the majority of this video going on about Flump's great use of his aircraft consumable. And you're going to continue to see the great use of his aircraft consumable as it's about to come off cooldown, and there's no way he's dodging those torpedoes. There goes the aircraft, right as he dies. Now, do you think he's going to use these aircraft to try to sink the Nakhimov? Or is he going to use them to spot the Nakhimov? Yeah. I think we all know what the answer to that question is. I have to admit to feeling more than a little conflicted here, though, because I can hardly sit here in judgment on the Nakhimov for making the maximum effective use of his aircraft, when I've been praising Flump for doing exactly the same thing with his limited consumable aircraft. But I'm still going to come down against the Nakhimov here. Even though he has, you know, credit where credit's due, been playing extremely well throughout the course of this battle, but I'm coming down against him because he's Russian. And as we all know, this is an entirely fair, reasonable, and historically accurate depiction of the successful use of aircraft carriers by the Russian Navy throughout and after the course of World War II. So that's what? Coordinated attack, Kraken Unleashed, high caliber, Confederate. Yep, 273,000 damage done. Most of that not from the aircraft. I think we'll all agree that the use of the aircraft, the tactical use of the aircraft, to spot targets for the rest of the team was far, far more valuable, and probably the critical factor in the successful outcome of this battle. Way more than any damage that they actually did. And he still managed to do 273,000 damage with 3 guns less than the Yamato. Ironically, it's the effectiveness of the Nakhimov's aircraft that is probably the thing that's working against him here, because if they hadn't been so effective, then I'm fairly sure that Flump and his division mate in the Republic would have simply been happy to sit in the cap circle and win by doing that. But the simple fact that the Nakhimov was so easily able to kill Flump and has almost managed to kill War Agent there in the Republique means that they basically have no choice but to come after him and sink him. So it's a case of, I guess it kind of sucks to be you, really. It's your own fault for being so effective. Yeah, that'll learn him. Who's going to get the kill? I think War Agent and the Republic deserves it. But honestly, it's anybody's guess. If he manages to reload, he can get a raking shot across the length of the ship that should do it. Oh, he's reloaded. And it wasn't enough. Damn, he was wrong. And it's the Jinan. But you know what? The Jinan played a blinder of a game as well. So, yeah, sure, he deserves that kill as well. And that is, well, I mean, basically it was all about the teamwork. Both teams, actually, just more so on Flumps. And it was all about the effective use of that aircraft consumable on the hybrid Tier 10 Japanese battleship, the Aki. Far, far more valuable as a spotting tool for your team, out of all proportion to the amount of damage that it actually does. Congratulations to Flump, despite being a dirty, stinking hybrid scumbag. That was an exceptionally well-played game, so congratulations. And hopefully it hasn't inspired other hybrid players to start actually playing properly. Oh no, what have I done? Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.